This is a recap over what we went over Friday as far as creating the round flange as one of our first 3D assignments. And I'm going to do the total thing instead of just starting from where we left off, just in case someone missed it. So we're going to start with a standard part file, and everything starts as a part file. So we'll just be starting with that and double clicking on that icon, and that takes us into 3D space. So after we're in 3D space, everything starts as a sketch. So across the top, you have your toolbars for uh, start 2D sketch. And the one thing we never really use is this one, which is to start 3D sketch. I never have used that one in the last 18 plus years. I've used this program. I've never used that, but most everything starts as a 2D sketch. Extrusion, revolve, sweep, loft, and a lot of these we don't really use a lot, but some of the ones we do are normally these two: in sweep, hole, fillet, chamfer, shell, and some of the constraints over here. So other than that, a lot of the stuff you don't have to necessarily be scared that it's overwhelming and it's too much for you. It's not really. We can do a lot with a few tools rather than trying to do a lot with a lot of tools. All right, so we're going to start a 2D sketch, and you're going to get this plane. So you have an XY, or what? XZ, if I'm not mistaken. That's XZ. Kind of hard to see what they're saying. All right. Yeah, well, I know that one's XY. Let's see. I think that was YX. And then you got an XZ. So normally I start on this one because this is the one that points toward the front. So I click on that one, and that plane is associated with this view cube. So you have this view cube has front, top, right side, bottom, so forth. So you're technically designing in 3D as you're doing everything. So we're going to start out with a circle. And if you notice that the toolbar up at the top changed. So I'm just going to kind of make this circle. I'm going to kind of make it random. And then I'm going to zoom out so I can see it. All right, so there's two different ways of doing the circle. You can size it as you go along, or you can just randomly make it and then make it the size you want it to be, which in this case would be 5.38. And that's going to make it the size that we want it. All right, and since we are, well, so I'm going to shortcut the process a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put my middle circle here too. And I'm going to make it 1.75. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. All right, so that first sketch that I just did is sketch 1. So if you touch it, it's going to highlight it. But once I extrude this, which is the next step, that sketch is going to become part of an extrusion. And if I'm not mistaken, our extrusion was 0.25. Not sure why. Let me go back. That's doing that. I'm not used to this new version. So let's try that again. All right, so the good thing is that if you make a mistake, you can always go back and change it. Oh, it's looking in the wrong place. I'm so used to it being up there in the middle. Yeah, make it okay. All right, so that gives my 3D object. It's gonna make it look kind of like a washer. So we'll spin it around, look at it. We can do that by holding down the shift key and the roller ball wheel at the same time, or we can use our 3D tool here, this 3D box, and we can just kind of spin it around. So if you ever kind of get lost in 3D space, and sometimes it happens, like you don't know which plane you're on or so forth, you can hit the little home button and it automatically goes back to an isometric with the front facing to the left. All right, so we're going to do another 2D sketch. And this time we're going to do 2 circles. We're going to do the first circle, and it's going to be 3.88. And what I'm going to do is each one of these intersections where the circle and that cross line touch, I'm going to do a 0.62 circle. In fact, I'm going to just do one. All right, I'm going to finish sketch. I'm going to extrude. Move this out the way. And pick that circle. If you pick it on the end, then it works a little bit better rather than having to pick 2 halves of it. And I'm going to use the cut feature, which is going to cut a hole in it. Then I'm going to hit OK. All right, so there's going to be 1 circle. So the way that I'm going to get the other 4, I'm going to use a tool that I didn't use during the other demonstration, and it is a circular pattern. So I'm going to use circular pattern. I'm going to click extrusion number 2 is what I'm going to be using a circular pattern on. And it's going to ask me for rotation axis, which is here. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to choose like the outside curved edge of this. And by default, it gives me 6, but I only want 4. So I'm going to tell it 4. I'm going to hit OK. And bam, I got all of my holes in. All right, so then I'm going to go ahead and save this. All right, so this desktop, this documents that you're using is actually on a virtual platform, so it is not directly on your laptop. So in the end, I'll be showing you how to download your design. So it's gonna be round flange, and we're gonna go ahead and put it on the sheet. So we're gonna do that by starting a new sheet. So we're going to just go to new, then click on drawing. Now, if you just happen to click on new, like some of you did before, you're going to get this dialog box that comes up right here. And really, all you're going to do is just double click on standard IDW, which is your inventor drawing file. All right, so after this is a really huge sheet. It's a 24 by 36, so we don't need one that big. And this is a single view drawing. So we're just going to click on sheets, right mouse click. We're going to edit the sheet. And I had the class do this as a C size drawing. So we're going to do it as a C size, which is an 18 by 24. We're going to hit OK. It's going to shorten up the sheet a little bit. So it's going to be 24 wide, 18 tall. And next we'll do base. All right, so when we do base, there's a few things you can change, but most time you can just leave it on whatever that it's on. The scale is going to be 1:1. We're just going to leave it at 1:1. If it comes in at 1/2, you can easily change the scale. So we're just going to hit OK for that and leave it in place. So we don't need any other views. Well, actually we do. We need the isometric view in the top. So we're just going to do projected. We're going to click on this. We're going to drag it out at the right. And we're going to put an isometric view in the top corner. So right mouse click and hit create. Now this particular view, if you double click on it, this one you can actually add some color to it. So it's in a different place than what I'm used to it being in. All right, so it's on hidden line view. So we're gonna put it on shaded, and I'm also gonna put it on hidden line at the same time. So I'm gonna choose those two. So it's gonna give you a nice little visual of what this round flange actually looks like. All right, so the wheel works opposite of what it does in AutoCAD. So you have to roll the wheel down to zoom in and roll the wheel up to zoom out. In AutoCAD, it works the opposite of that. So it's just something you have to get really used to. All right, so next we'll do annotate. And we're going to come over here to our little cluster of 5. It used to be 4. So we're going to click on the little plus sign. And it's going to put our center line in the middle. So our next step, we're going to use this center line right here. And we're going to do something that kind of tricky. We're going to go around and pick all the centers of the circles. And it's going to give us a rounded center line. So this is something that we didn't do Friday. So this is something I do want you to go ahead and do. So I think Friday we just basically put a cross in each one of them, but this is actually the correct way of doing it. All right, so from here, we're just going to do our dimensions. So in Inventor, there's only one dimension tool. There's no drop downs to hit multiple different types of radius and linear and so forth. It's one tool does all of the different types of dimensions. So if this was a half circle, it would know that and do a radius for the dimension instead of a diameter. All right, so we're just going to use our diameter tool. And it looks like my center line disappeared. All right, that's going to pop up. And I guess we're going to have to put it back in after we get done. So I'm just going to go ahead and add all my dimensions. All right, so this one, I'm going to hit the enter button. I'm going to put in 4 holes. I'll just in 4 places. All right, and that center line circle that graciously disappeared for some reason, we're going to put that back in. And hopefully it's not going to disappear on us again. It did. I'm not sure why it's doing that. So let's try this one instead. That one it doesn't like too well. So it might be stuck. I don't want to be. I'll tell you what, let's click on the outside edge of these circles and see how that works. Rather than doing it the other way. Oh, obviously there's a check mark somewhere that I'm missing here. So let's see how that. I'm probably missing a check mark to acknowledge that I need to keep that. So I need to find that check mark. Okay, I'm gonna hit that button to see where that stay. So I don't want to hit escape. All right, let's see how that works. All right, I think that worked out. So we gotta just definitely click off to the side to make sure that it stays. So if the circles are still bluish in color, you got to make sure that you kind of hit the button and click off to the side so it'll stay. All right, so that's all 4 our dimensions that we have right there. So we're running on 15 minutes. All right, so we're almost done. All right, so here we're gonna do our text. So we're gonna click on the text tool. And we're gonna go from top left to bottom right. We're gonna choose the second and the fifth option. And we're gonna put in the class name. And we'll do the same here. So we'll choose the second and the fifth option. And this one, by default, this is 0.12, but I think I'm gonna make this one 0.24. And then I'm gonna put in the name. Hit OK. All right, so a lot of the other information is already here, with the exception of your name. So let's see, can I get this scroll over? All right, so where it says frame user, you have to change this to your name. So you're gonna go to view, go to file, properties. And under summary, you'll change the author from frame user to your name. You're gonna apply, hit close, and now we're ready to export this as a PDF. So just go to File, Export, PDF, and the incomplete was already there before. So we're going to do the round flange. All right, so here is the thing, and this is where it gets a little tricky. All right, so you got this folder down here twice. One is actually the online desktop, and one is not. So the one at the top is your online desktop, which is where you'll go to Documents. We'll click on round flange, right mouse click, download with frame, and what it'll do, it'll download it to the other one, to your actual desktop or to your actual computer. So it'll be in downloads. So you go to this one, and go to downloads. It'll be there. So this is the one that you'll be choosing in order to turn in. So this is the one that you'll upload on Schoology. All right, so I think that's it for this particular one.